What's up? What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Real Talk Today.
That is hooked down into the corner at the wall. It's gone. Talented shot. Lakers lead by 5. And he will leapfrog a defender.
Guys, I'm here today with one of my best friends. We got Jonathan Lidskin.
What is up, everyone? Excited
AKA
to be
Liddy.
back.
Oh, it's great. Dude, just perfect timing. We got game one of the finals tonight.
Yes, we do.
But let's backtrack a little bit. We had you on one of my podcasts before. We have Mic Drop with Jared Rosenthal. But in the summer, you and I recorded at my house.
Yes.
My dog was barking in the background on voice memos. Interesting time.
Yeah.
What'd you think of that experience, though? I thought it was fun.
It was fun, and honestly, I think it was time for me to get the upgrade on camera. I think I've proved myself on mic drop.
I think you definitely
Yeah,
have. 23 episodes strong.
Yeah, it was time to get Steinberg out a little bit.
Well, yeah, Steinberg, he's been great. He just had to take a break for a little bit, but we're back. So let's get right into this. Game one of the finals tonight, like I said, it's in Toronto.
Yes.
With Katie out in game one, I understand that the Warriors can still play offense. That offense, it's going to run smoothly. We know. But with Katie out, the defense is just going to be absent, I believe. We see Katie, he ranks in the 71st percentile as a post-up defender, the 80th percentile as an isolation defender, and then he's just a great rim protector. So when you have a great rim protector, isolation defender, and just a solid guy all around, it's really tough to just replace that. Just really tough. Liddy, what do you see with going into the series? How can the Warriors just improvise?
Well, the thing about KD is, yes, he's, in my opinion, the best player in the world. But does he cause that much of a factor for Golden State? I don't think so. The Warriors' offense right now moving so smoothly without him, and on the defensive end, you still have guys like Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala. The Warriors get DeMarcus Cousins back tonight. Those are other great defenders that step into not fulfill KD's role, but take parts of it.
Right.
And honestly, in my opinion, I think this is going to be a great series. It's going to be every game's going to be close. I've never seen Kawhi Leonard got blown out. I've never seen him get blown out. But while I don't think KD being out helps the Warriors, I don't think it hurts them in extreme fashion.
Right. But when you have a guy that's this lanky, he's just a guy like KD. He's something that we don't see too often. He's debatably the best player in the NBA.
Yeah.
And he could potentially win another title, not even playing. But for me, I believe that the Warriors are going to need him. So when he gets back on the floor, they'll win. But until then, I think they're losing each game. That's why I say this series is going 7. And the Warriors, they're not going to win a game until he gets back on the floor. That's the bottom line with that there. I know Steph Curry's great. If he plays like that 50, 40, 90, unanimous MVP self, yes, they can probably win a game or two here. But I think he needs KD because defense, it wins championships.
Well, if your theory proves to be right, that actually isn't all that bad for the Warriors because he did travel with them on this road trip to Toronto for games 1 and 2.
Right.
Obviously, he's been ruled out tonight, but there's a good chance he could play game 2 because I don't see why the Warriors would take him on this trip if he needed to be healthy.
Well, right. It's the finals, though, too. This is something, if you're not in the finals and you're part of that team, even if you're injured, you got to show up. That's
Yeah.
something. If you're on this team, and also, why wouldn't you want to be there? A guy of this caliber, he's going to want to get back out there. He's going to take that flight to Toronto, we know. Yeah, he might get hazed at the hotel with these fans and whatnot. I've heard maybe Drake will come out. Aubrey, some are addressing him as now. But gosh, I think Steph, I think, will at least improvise on offense. We know that. He shot 43% last series from 3, capped off the series with 11 dimes. Dude's aggressive too. So when I see a guy like him, offensively, sure, they'll pull it off. They can pull it off there.
Yeah, no question offensively. He hurts them a lot defensively because you don't have to keep Draymond Green on Kawhi Leonard the whole time, and you could put some length on him.
Right.
Steph Curry obviously is phenomenal. Steps into the role of leader on that team with Kevin Durant out, their main offensive weapon now, and is playing like the unanimous MVP he was before KD got there.
Yeah.
the thing with KD's injury, obviously, like you said, it's the NBA Finals. KD wants to get back, and not only does he want to get back, he needs to get back. Because if the Warriors win this championship without him, which I know you don't think they will, but if they win it without him, that hurts his legacy. Because the 2 rings look like they're fake.
Well, here's the deal. If you're an NBA player, you're doing everything you possibly can in order to get that ring. So, beg, borrow, steal, KD is doing whatever it takes. And yes, he probably should have won in OKC. Probably should have. But for him to go to the Bay Area and get those rings, I still think they're meaningful. You still got to win those games. And in fact, he was the MVP in those series where they won. So it's not like he was on the sides just watching this all fold out. In fact, he was the one orchestrating that offense and defense too. He plays all sides of the ball. I think he's the best two-way player in the game. Kawhi, you can make that debate for as well. But I think KD, with his resume, the way he's played throughout the years, progress, MVP, I see something in him that is just unmatchable.
Yeah, well, you go on a great point with the style the Warriors play when KD's in versus out.
Right.
Now, the Warriors, when KD's in, they look a little more like Toronto. Like, they spread the floor with shooters. Steph and Clay become spot-up shooters when KD's playing.
Yes.
When he's out, it's a lot more movement. They set a lot more screens, whether it's a ball screen or an off-ball screen. And, frankly, both styles work for them. We've seen it both times. Now, the thing about KD's absence, the Warriors are just about perfect when he's out. When Steph plays and KD does not play, they're like 31-4, just about. They might be a couple games off here or there, but versus when KD plays and Steph doesn't, they're about 6-7.
But see, that's because you have a good supporting cast still. You still have Clay, you still have Draymond, you still have Andre Iguodala.
Yeah.
These guys are quality players, and they're not going to back down.
But what people forgot, I think, from this Warriors team is that this team without KD had played together for 3 years, even more, but before KD got there.
Right, and now
so they knew how to play together.
Even with Andrew Bogut coming back, that addition should help them on defense. Offensively, he's not the best player, but yeah, he's serviceable. He's someone that once in a while he can get that layup for them. It's fine. But to my point, with defense as well, I'd love to emphasize defense because it wins championships. It's inevitable.
Yes, it does.
Andre Iguodala, we have talked about this before. Yes, he was the MVP against LeBron, where it was a decent series, I would say. He was the MVP because he stopped LeBron, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he can stop Kawhi, I still think the Raptors are going to win. Quote-unquote stop. Because Toronto's supporting cast, I think, is something that is remarkable. The way they've shown up in this playoff series against the Bucks, just remarkable. We saw they were down 2-0. They win 4 straight. That takes grit, Liddy. That takes heart. What do we think about this Toronto team now? I know we're focusing on the Warriors, but to shift over to Toronto, how are they going to go with this?
Well, I think the main thing that you have to look for in Toronto is the finals is different than the Eastern Conference Finals. There's even more pressure than there already is. And I want to go back a little on your point that if they could stop Kawhi, I think the word you're looking for is contain Kawhi because you can't really stop him.
Right.
So what I think is that the Raptors, like you make that point about defense winning championships, and while you argue the NBA is a more offensive league, which it is than it used to be,
right?
Why don't we? If it was an offensive league, the Houston Rockets would win the title every year.
Very good.
And you just look at the Eastern Conference Finals. The Raptors held the Bucks to under what the Bucks were averaging,
right?
And that was the key in the series. The Bucks weren't scoring 115 like they were in the regular season, or even in the beginning of the playoffs.
No,
they were around 100. That's how the Raptors won the series.
Exactly.
So don't tell me the Warriors can't be stopped because they can. We saw it in the regular season matchup. Kawhi Leonard didn't play. They held him to 93 points.
Right.
So we know this team can be stopped,
or
at least contained for certain games. But obviously you're not going to get through an entire series without them going off a game or two. But there's ways to beat them.
There are ways to beat them.
And the Raptors had exploited those in the regular season.
But here, let's rehash a little bit. We saw last series, Bucks and Raptors. Kawhi was averaging 29.8 points per game, 9.5 rebounds, 4.3 assists, and 2.16 steals per game. That's a stat line that is very impressive, considering that this player is someone that Toronto took a risk on. In this offseason, he was injured. We didn't know if he was going to be that same player he was years ago. In San Antonio, they really like to cover up all those issues, so we never really knew the severity of what was actually going on with him. So the fact that they took that chance, like I said, and he's performing this well, I hope it can continue. Now, yes, I'm a little salty because I am a Bucks fan, and you know that.
Yes.
But I love to watch good basketball, and if I can see a Kawhi Leonard play like this well, I got a lot of faith in a great series.
Yeah, and you're talking about a guy that's the Warriors' kryptonite, really, at least recently. You think about the last 2 games he's played against the Warriors. The first one earlier this year, he played in one of 2 regular season matchups. Scored 37 in that game. It was an overtime game that the Raptors won at home. The previous game before that, you probably remember the Western Conference Finals Game 1 when Zaza unfortunately injured him.
Yep.
But he was unreal in that game. He had 26 points in the 24 minutes he played. It looked like the Warriors couldn't do anything about it.
No.
It was a 30-point game, and it was solely because of the impact he was having on the game.
Yeah, and this is going to definitely be a revenge series, at least for Kawhi. Because when someone does that to you, they force your team to leave the playoffs because you're not playing. By injuring Kawhi, that star player, how could they expect them to have a chance?
And Zaza's gone now,
And
so he
Zaza's
doesn't have to
gone.
worry about that anymore.
He had an early exit in this playoffs.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to your point, like you said. They played twice in the regular season because East versus West, you only play twice. In that overtime game where Kawhi played, he dropped 37 points. Nothing to sneeze at. But on top of that, he was efficient. 58.3% from field goal range and 50% from three-point range. Those are 2 things that really emphasize how really efficient he is, because we see a lot of players, Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul even. We see guys across the league, even LeBron James certain nights, not efficient at all. Don't share the ball too well. With Kawhi, when he's got the hot hand and he's this efficient, efficiency is key, and that's gonna win games. And now we saw it with Giannis. I know we keep going back to this Bucks series, but with Giannis, he really wasn't reaching his heights. I'm telling you, we've seen Giannis play so much better, and the word containment really describes the way that Toronto we thought would play defense, but no, it wasn't containment. This was just a stop. This was just destruction. So if we continue, we see shooters. We see Marc Gasol. How does he play a role in this series coming up?
Well, I think with the news today of DeMarcus Cousins coming back, it increases his role, so to speak, because honestly, there's ways you can play the big guys against the Warriors, but I think DeMarcus Cousins in the game even helps them out more because now he is a legitimate matchup.
Right.
And we saw him play in the playoffs. Brook Lopez outside of Game 1 was not great against the Raptors, and Joel Embiid was basically shut down in that 76ers series outside of 1 game. So Marc Gasol, even at his old age, not extremely old, but getting older,
He is.
plays extremely good defense, emphasizes what the Raptors want to do,
Yeah.
and with DeMarcus Cousins back, is a great fit in this series.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see this matchup. And just to emphasize, like last series, this guy shot 41% just about from three-point range. He had 12 blocks in this series. Guy was just a monster. And I like the way that he aligned himself with these other players, clogging up the paint. That was key. Now, with the Warriors, I don't know if clogging up the paint is as big of an issue. I don't think so. I think they're going to have to step out a little bit further, go to that perimeter. But once they start trying to drive in, if they can align that same system, there's just no way that the Warriors are going to score. Because if the Bucks couldn't, and they were debatably, I think they were just the best team in the league this year. If Toronto could take down that, then they don't have anything to fear. They really don't.
Well, I think really what Gasol is more valuable is when KD comes back, because you saw what the Raptors did against Giannis. They said, we're going to stick Marc Gasol and Siakam near the lane, so when Giannis drives, we have guys around him. KD, as great as he is a shooter, and I think he's a top 5 shooter in the NBA today, he's still a slasher, and he still gets to the rim as well as anybody. So I think you say, Marc Gasol, you're going to stand right here, and when KD comes in the lane, your job is don't let him score.
Don't let him score.
So I think I think that helps his role a lot.
Well, okay, here's the scary part, is that when KD doesn't drive and he decides to shoot that perimeter shot, when he gets above you and he elevates over, his arm length is just so much higher than your head, you're not going to be able to block it, nor are you going to even be able to just put a hand slightly close to the
you
ball.
barely contest it.
Right.
And that's the thing, really, because honestly, there's no good matchup for him in the league. Kawhi Leonard can guard him off the dribble. He won't be able to contest his three-point shot, as big as Kawhi's hands are. And frankly, Kevin Durant, as great as a jump shooter as he is, when he gets above you, there's no stopping him.
There's no
You're going to barely get a contest in, and you just have to pray that he misses almost.
Right. Well, here's another aspect I think we need to focus on. And Alana Gertz, definitely, she focused on this as well with us, is Fred VanVleet.
Yeah.
This is someone who, he had the best plus-minus the last 2 games of the Bucks series. And then before that, the second best. This guy, he's averaging in the teens, which is pretty good considering it's a playoff series versus the best team in the league. Now, moving forward, does his involvement affect this team still? Because I think to a slight bit, yes, it will. But overall, I think his role is going to be diminished. And this is where the experience is really going to come out. And the younger kids are going to fade away. And the older ones, like a Danny Green is going to step up. You got a Kawhi who's going to be there as well. You have guys that are just going to step up from this finals experience. So what do you think? Is Fred VanVleet going to show up or no?
Well, VanVleet really took Danny Green's role in that Eastern Conference Finals series.
Right.
Danny Green went ice cold, shooting 6 for 32 from 3 in the series.
Right.
And honestly, when VanVleet steps up, he was hitting roughly 5 threes a game against the Bucks towards the end of that series. And if he's hitting 5 threes, he's basically matching whatever Klay Thompson and Steph Curry are doing. And that, I think, is so key for the Raptors. But now he's young. He's from Wichita State, a couple years out of college.
2 years in the league,
Danny
that's
Green, who's played in the finals before, hopefully now will feel more comfortable in his role. And that's to knock down threes and try to match what Klay is doing.
Exactly. And so this is the last point I want to make is Kyle Lowry. We've seen repeatedly, he just can't make it to the finals. He always just gets stopped. It's like, you ever go to a college, right, and you see these kids trying to walk into bars with fake IDs, right?
Yeah.
And they just can't get in. They can't get in.
No.
So we see this with Toronto here.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry keeps trying to get in, he can't. And now he finally did. The gateways opened up. He was able to get in. The bouncer said, hey, you're welcome.
Well, I think now the main thing with Kyle Lowry is when DeMar DeRozan was in Toronto, he sort of had a share star role.
Right.
He wasn't really like a second-tier player. And now that Kawhi is in Toronto, he's clearly a second-tier player. He might even be the 3rd or 4th best player on their team at this point. And honestly, that helps him because when he played with DeMar DeRozan, it's like, okay, we're going to stick our best defending guard on him, and you're going to have to score against him. Now there's a ton of pressure, and you're being guarded by a really good defensive guard.
Right.
Now it's not the case. And in the regular season, second game, the Warriors played the Raptors. It was at Oracle. The Raptors won the game 113-93. Kyle Lowry had 23, led the Raptors in scoring. So if he's playing that way against the Warriors, it's trouble.
It's going to be trouble. Well, Kyle Lowry, nice job out there. You did it. Hopefully you can win. We'll see what happens with you.